Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Lana.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about the extremely low number of home sales, and we're going to talk about what that means. We have a bunch of other data.
Yes.
Okay, so it's from an article that came out a few days ago. Existing home sales fall for the 12th straight month in January, lowest since 2010. Falling 12 months in a row is falling from like the highest home sales in a decade.
Right. So first of all, this is not prices. This is number of transactions.
Okay. Already people are going to tell you home prices have fallen below 2010 prices because somebody will see this and not understand what that means. It's the total number of transactions.
Right.
It's okay. So one thing is this is from a very high level of sales.
Yes.
But this is like it did shoot down below like the normal range into a lower range. Like
yes.
This is a pretty low number.
It is a low number. But remember, this is also because we have very little inventory. So when you have so little inventory, then you're not going to have a whole lot of sales either, right? Because there's not that much to choose from.
If interest rates were zero, if money was free, and there was one house on the market, people would try to say the housing market's going to crash. There was only one sale last year. Well, how can there be a crash if you have to have a transaction with a recording a different amount to have that happen. Here's some numbers. U.S. existing home sales fell 0.7% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4 million in January. NAR said this is a 12th straight monthly decline in existing home sales. The 12-month losing streak is the longest since NAR began tracking sales in 1999. So it's the first time that sales dropped 12 months in a row.
Right. So this kind of gives you some perspective that, those people would say, oh, it's a crash and all this. Okay, well, if NAR has been tracking this since 1999, which means they tracked it through the whole real estate crash back in 2008, 9, 10, and this is lower than that, then that tells you that this is not necessarily a one-to-one relationship, right?
Right, exactly. There were actually a very high number of sales.
Right.
During the housing crash, we did way more transactions. We were doing 600 to 700 transaction sides a year, all listings, because there were so many transactions happening. Prices were falling, but the numbers of sales was far greater. So, we've talked about this before. If home prices go from 400 to 500 and an agent sells 10 houses, you don't make more money than if home prices go from 5 to 400, you sell 10 houses. It's the transactions. People who lose money are the people who are, selling their house, basically, right? So numbers of sales is what's driving these numbers. It has nothing to do. Like people say, oh, it's interest rates, Todd. It's not. We're going to get into that. It's not interest rates, okay? Wouldn't matter really what interest rates are. If interest rates were 1%, it's not like you would have 6 million sales this year. There aren't enough houses. You couldn't sell 6 million houses. There aren't 6 million houses to sell, right?
Right.
Okay. The 12-month decline. Now this is another stat from the article. The 12-month consecutive decline in single-family existing homes is also the longest in a row since 1968. I don't know where they get that number from. Who knows?
Right. I mean, that puzzles me too because they say that they've been tracking it since 1999. So where's 1968 coming from? But
I don't know that. But then there was this one. The median price for an existing home rose 1.3% to $359 in January from December.
Right. So,
we know this is true because it happened in Vegas. We tracked the numbers last month, and the home prices went up last month.
Right. So, but that also tells you that, when you have this either stable or declining inventory, it is likely that prices will go up simply because there's a lack of inventory and you have more buyers chasing fewer homes.
Yeah, there's certainly multiple things happening. Interest rates are up, but this belief that we've done videos on this, interest rates do not mean nobody can buy a house. We've got some data we're going to show you that basically proves that. It's just a factor. A factor is also factors versus far less inventory. How about measuring, and if all this is true, it's the worst it's ever been. Why did home prices go up 1.3%? That makes no sense, right? You're probably going, oh, that's a lie. That can't be right. Well, that's just disregarding, being resistant to facts, right? Expressed in terms of the months of supply metric, there was a 2.9 months of supply for homes in sale in January, unchanged from the previous month. Before pandemic, a 4 or 5 month supply was the norm.
Right. And just traditionally, the norm is, somewhere between 5 and 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are with the lowest number of inventory we've literally ever had. Yes, interest rates are up, but then think about this though, Juana. We've got the lowest number of sales that we've had. Let's say it's since the 60s. And home prices are going up. What's going to happen when interest rates drop? Let's say interest rates go back below 5%.
So that's going to be really interesting. So one of two things: either home buyers are going to rush in and absolutely decimate what little inventory there is, and there won't be any inventory, or we will have a lot more transactions. And what I mean by that is that may prompt some people who have low interest rates to say, okay, well, maybe this spread between what I have and what I'll be getting isn't so great, so maybe I will put my house on the market and buy something else. So it'll be really interesting to see, because those are two reasonable possibilities.
Right. I don't know where, I think people read the headline of the video and then they just post in the comments, why are you telling people now is a good time to buy? We have literally never said that in a video. We did not say now is a good time to buy. What we're pointing out is this. If you can say historically if interest rates do this, but there's no proof to that. We did a video. Whatever interest rates do are really irrelevant with home prices. Interest rates were falling during the great financial crisis and home prices were going down.
Right.
So you can't say, well, interest rates going up mean home prices have to go down, and if interest rates go down, home prices go up, because it didn't happen then. It didn't happen in the 80s when interest rates went up to 18%. Home prices kept going up, right?
Right.
What we're saying is when you have no inventory in the market, it dramatically changes all of the inputs that tell you what's going on in the real estate market. You can't just say, hey, we have 12 months in a row in decline. Yeah, sure we do. Because if you went back 12 months ago, homes were transacting so quickly. We were on track to sell 6 million homes in a year. And that we hadn't had that in, for sure, over a decade. And we went from 6 million to 4 million, which is a huge decline. But the reason it's going to probably still decline has nothing to do with interest rates. It has more to do with the fact that there's no inventory.
Right. People are not selling their homes for whatever reason, and builders aren't building enough to add to the inventory any meaningful amount.
Somebody asked me to do a housing hack video, and we're going to do another video where we talk about that, because I basically coined the term and did the first ever housing hack video 11 years ago. Okay, and you have to watch another video to see that, because we're going to make a video where we show that video in there. But I was looking for fourplexes in Vegas that are in like nicer fourplexes around town, and there are none. If you go in the MLS look for fourplexes, you either end up in I don't know where these zip codes are, but they're not even in Las Vegas, or you get a ton of them that are in 89101 or kind of the super trashed areas, the super old ones from the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
That you can't really housing hack those videos. They're getting $500 a month rent for each unit. And they're still super expensive. They were $600,000. And I'm like, why would you buy $600,000 and get $200,000 a month rent? You could buy a single family home and do better than that.
You mean $2,000 a month rent?
Yeah, you're getting $500 a month for 4 units. You get $2,000 a month rent, but they're $600,000 to buy them. The numbers don't make sense.
Right. I mean, you can spend $300 to $350 and get $2,000 a month.
But my point with this is when you don't have inventory, goofy things happen. So that's why it's the worst market it's ever been. Home prices went up 1.3%, right? So this is what the chief economist for NAR said. He said, we're pretty much bottoming out. Seems like half the country is experiencing price declines. But I think the price decline will feel short in duration, modest. Yun added, he said, expensive markets in California, but not the markets we've been looking at, because the prices aren't going down there. The ones that saw a big run-up, prices like Austin and Boise may see declines in bigger magnitudes. I don't know why Austin and Boise keep getting, I think because they had the biggest rise, it's just natural to think they should fall. But it also makes sense. I mean, if you have an outsized gain, you're going to have a proportional, possible decline, right? So that in the end, you may still end up with a higher gain than other areas, but you'll still have maybe a bigger fall from the top than areas that were more modest in their rise. Right. I think ultimately the driving thing, you can say whatever you want about interest rates. Interest rates are not as big of a factor as you think they are. Okay. Inventory being extremely low is what percentage of homes purchased in January were all cash?
So I was surprised about this. It was, I think it was like 31%.
Yeah, 31%.
Yeah, so I was surprised by this.
How many, zero of those 31% care what interest rates are?
Right, and then, what you have to understand is that the other 69% had, some amount of down payment. So anywhere between zero down payment, maybe with a VA loan, all the way maybe to a 50% down payment or whatever. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that everybody else has this massive mortgage. It just means that everybody else has a mortgage, and you're going to have a good range in there as far as what people's mortgages are. And then it also doesn't mean that everybody, that 69%, they all got the same interest rate, right? Because people got different interest rates depending on their loan program, on their credit, depending on all kinds of things. So, it's much more complicated than to say that 69% are over a barrel, because they're not.
The 15-year rate right now is under 6. Mm-hmm. It's like 5.75. If you're willing to get a 15-year, you're paying more down in principal reduction. That was the average 15-year. If you have higher credit or your portfolio borrower, or you're doing a jumbo sometimes, because the jumbo rate's even lower. It's lower than the going rate. It was like 6.2 or something. Mm-hmm. So there are below 6% rates there. People quote the highest rate, and if you believe the highest rate, 6.8 or whatever it is right now, and that everybody is buying, putting 3.5% down, and 100% of these people are paying $300,000 or $3,000 a month rent payment or mortgage payment, then you're right. You're absolutely right. If those mortgage rates continue to go up, it would choke off demand and prices would go down. 100% agree with you. You have to acknowledge, with no inventory, with 31% of people paying cash, with the other 69% of people putting substantial amount down, that they're really unfazed by it. And if not so, how did home prices go up nationally? 1.3%, maybe not Boise, maybe not Austin. We know it's starting to happen here in Vegas because we saw the numbers 4 weeks in a row. Median list price went up. The sales price is starting to go up. It's going up. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to keep going up. It'll probably go up again and go down in the fall like it does every single year. Right? But it's not likely to crash when we don't have the inventory. We have to get the inventory somehow. We don't have it.
Right. So supply and demand. So long as the supply is low, the demand is high, there's a lot of support for the prices. So long as, nationally speaking, about 40% of the real estate is owned free and clear, as long as 31% of people keep paying cash for houses, all these things kind of go into get baked into this whole thing where there's so much support for pricing. We don't see any reason why pricing is going to take a substantial hit. Now, does it mean that it's not going to do this all year long? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that there's not going to be a substantial price change in most markets, and certainly not when you're looking at the national picture.
Last thing, and then you can close it out.
Okay.
The current number of listings in the United States is in the 700,000 total right now. At the peak before the great financial crash, which was in, I think, late 2006, the number in the U.S. was 4 million. It broke 4 million homes for sale. We had over 26,000 here in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. Over 26,000 here in Las Vegas in the MLS. When Las Vegas was 40% smaller than it is now, we would have to have. I remember at the time I talked to an agent in Phoenix. They said they had 64,000 properties in their MLS for sale. And at the time they were like 5 million people. And I said, that's a lot. And they go, well, we're 5 million people. I said, we got 28. They said, we got 64,000. He goes, it's going to be really bad here. We have less than a quarter. You have to consider the inventory. You can't just say, the sales percentages are down and all this other stuff. You have to look. All we're asking you to do is look at the big picture. We're not telling you should run out and buy. We don't care if you run out and buy. It really doesn't matter. We made videos like back in 2012 where we talked about we thought it was a good time to buy back then. And if you go back historically, we're absolutely right. And our housing hack video from 2012 proves that, because it was an awesome video that I made. You can edit now.
There you go. So I would encourage you to look back at those 2012 videos and see how absolutely hot and handsome he is. Just because,
It's 11 years ago. I had hair and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you learned something, if we enlightened you, if we annoyed you, if we entertained you, please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, leave us a note, tell us what you think. We're interested in finding out where you're watching from and what your take on the real estate market is. You don't have to agree with us. We welcome all opinions, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.